Great to be here with you. In today's video, we're talking about how to silence your inner critic. We all have one, an inner critic. Have you ever seen those cartoons where the main character has a tiny little angel on one shoulder and then a devil on the other shoulder? The angel is whispering encouraging words like, "You got this, get back in there." And the devil uses words that tear the person down or plant seeds of doubt like, "It's too late. You'll be a bother. Don't even try." It's almost natural to listen to that inner critic because those messages remind us of the things we may have heard growing up. They're often ingrained deep into our minds, and the good news is that we're not stuck there. There are ways to transform this dynamic, and I'm going to give you a whole bunch right now. I'm Randy Tarrant, founder of Project Happiness, and in these videos, we explore emotional well-being, growing into your best self, and unlocking the keys to a more fulfilling second chapter of your life. Lots of great stuff coming, and so much is possible. Subscribe here, because I don't want you to miss a thing. First thing to know is that we have many aspects or parts of ourselves, and the inner critic is only one part. Yeah, it's noisy. Yes, it makes itself heard, and generally it may mimic the messages from our parents. The inner critic's role when we were growing up was to keep us on task or protect us from getting into trouble, as in, "Don't apply for that job. You'll look like a fraud. Don't wear the white jeans. Your butt looks fat. Don't join the club. You don't belong." Dick Schwartz, who developed the Internal Family Systems, IFS, suggests that speaking to the inner critic part from a place of curiosity, asking it, why is it working so hard? Because we know it is, to give us these messages. The original intention was to protect you from being hurt. So you may even develop some compassion for this part. By creating this space, the inner critic part can soften. And listen, because you're not the same person now and you are growing, how you deal with the inner critic has to grow too. So what to do? Number one, awareness is key in working with it. So it's like, oh, I can see my inner critic is in fine form today and has a lot to say. So even consider giving your inner critic a nickname. Mine is Matilda, and it's pronounced exactly that way. Also observe, what is it doing, and give that a name. Is it catastrophizing, as in, this is never going to work? My mother was actually big into this one. Is it mind reading, assuming everyone's reaction without any evidence? Is it personalizing? I messed up one line in the presentation. Oh, I'm a failure. Versus, I made a mistake and I'm going to learn from it. So by observing all these situations and actually giving them a name, that makes you more detached. So the inner critic's voice is actually losing some of its charge. Number two is lessen its power. In NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, there are ways to reduce the power of the inner critic. Pretend you have a large imaginary dial in front of you, and you dial down the volume of the voice to the point that you can barely hear it. This is all imaginary, but it really can put you in a different state. What happens is that the inner critic loses its influence if you can't hear it well. And you can also put the voice further away, so it sounds like it's coming from a long distance. It becomes faint. It's no longer right there in your ear. And this approach is not about putting an end to the sound of the inner critic, but rather taking control of it. And this can be a useful tool in the toolbox. Next is ask 4 questions. This is from the work of Byron Katie called The Work. And these deceptively simple questions can ignite a shift in record time. The first one is it true? Is it true all the time? Really? Number 2, can you absolutely know that it's true? Number 3, how do you react when you believe that thought? You probably go into like inner critic land, like it gets bigger and bigger. Now, number 4 is, who would you be without that thought? You probably would be more free and have many more choices. You'd be less stressed, less anxious. Something to think about. Now I want to give you 2 words to live by. These are 2 words that can change your life. The first is self-compassion, meaning talk to yourself as you would a good friend. Whenever you catch your inner critic in action, and that voice can be brutal, switch it up to a kinder tone, like what you would say to your best friend. Go from, "You're not good enough," to ... fill in the blanks, to, "It is challenging, but you've done hard things before. You got this." In other words, become the coach instead of the critic. The second word is gratitude. If you're feeling worn out or like your energy is low, just remember, it could always be worse. Gratitude for being here now. I have a dear friend who's been diagnosed with late-stage cancer, who miraculously found a new drug that has given him a new lease on life. He's discovered that there's so much that you can do and so many moments to appreciate. It really brings you back to the moments and the realization that not everyone gets that opportunity. So self-compassion, gratitude. The inner critic is alive at every stage, but as we get older, this is interesting, there's a real opportunity to disarm the inner Meanie aspect and come into a greater state of inner peace. We're always evolving. By accepting the inner critic as a vestige of the past, as we accept our true selves more unconditionally, as we learn to love ourselves for who we are and who we are not. The inner critic is replaced by our inner ally. Our true self gets to shine much more. So rather than expending effort to deny or reject the inner critic, we can accept that as another part of the whole. That is called liberation, and that is my wish for you. So if this resonated with you, pick one point that you can use and kind of instill into your life this week, today. Try it. And please do share this if you have a friend who could use this information. As always, so happy to be here with you, sending you so much love, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.